Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled is Jane Marla Robbins and actress Robin Page. Actress-writer Jane Marla Robbins has been seen in the Rocky movies, in TV dramas, and on the Broadway stage. She's written the self-help book, Acting Techniques for Everyday Life. Jane Marla was commissioned by the Kennedy Center to write and perform a one-woman play not long ago about Mozart's sister. Is that right?
Their relationship, the two of them.
What was it about?
She was a genius in her own right, very possibly.
Was she older or young?
She was 4 years older, so they performed for kings and queens all over Europe, and they were both considered equal prodigies. But then she grew up, and she wasn't cute anymore, and her father didn't know what to do with this cute little boy, who was also a prodigy, and he ended up focusing all his attention on Wolfie instead of the lovely Marianne.
So you did all the research, wrote it all, performed it as the sister, or?
That's right.
And it was so well received that it went from the Kennedy Center to Lincoln Center.
It was awesome. And
were you nervous on these big stages?
2,400 people at Avery Fisher Hall at Lincoln Center. And it was after that that I realized I was qualified to teach other people what to do if they were nervous in front of
and that's so therefore the book came out.
I feel now a right to say, yes, I can teach acting techniques for everyday life to help anybody look and feel self-confident when they might otherwise be nervous, which is what I was in front of 2,400 people.
Every night? Night after night? Did you get nervous every night?
Like most actors, I get a little stage fright every time I go on.
The thing that I thought was very interesting was you wrote about Mozart's sister. You wrote also about Moses' sister from the Bible, Miriam. What was that?
I had been commissioned by the Kennedy Center to do Mozart's sister, and they only commissioned a 40-minute play, so I was looking for a companion piece to do, which ended up being almost 2 hours, so each was a separate evening. Was
that at the same time, actually?
No, I did it after. I did the Mozart, and then I did Moses' sister, which was an extraordinary spiritual voyage for me.
What was it? It was Moses, Miriam's dance?
That's right. That was the name of it. She was famous for dancing at the Red Sea.
Oh, is that right?
And she was a priestess in her own right. And
so she was very
the play, well known, a lot in the Bible, considered equal with Moses and Aaron for bringing the slaves, 3 million slaves, out of Egypt. But also the play is a healing paradigm. She was given leprosy in the Bible. And my play discusses and reveals how she healed herself. And that paradigm is how I teach, which is how I help people who come to me, not with leprosy, but with nerves.
This is funny because when I was reading the book last night, one of the things you say, one of the techniques is somebody was bugging a person. Every time he'd come into a room, he'd be like putting her down and telling her not to do this. And you said, pretend like he has leprosy. So it came from Miriam.
Actually, that happened before. I had actually done a play based on an Ingmar Bergman film.
Is that right?
And had leprosy at the Spoleto Festival. So who knows? What is my relationship with leprosy is an odd one.
That's very strange. But also I wanted to talk about Spoleto because Spoleto is a wonderful arts festival, and you were directed by Roscoe Lee Brown and also Louis Malle, huh? Tell us a little bit about that before we go into your acting techniques. You've got so much to talk about.
I was rooming with 2 other women in Spoleto, and I wrote a play called Bats in the Belfry, and Roscoe directed it so brilliantly. He is so inventive.
He's very wonderful, warm.
And brilliant. So it was funny. And then Louis Malle directed me having leprosy.
And something else?
It was the Ingmar Bergman play. on which he based The Seventh Seal, but he wrote the one act first. So me and Jessica Tandy, we all schlepped looking for the Holy Grail, in a sense. Only my character had leprosy, but I've recovered.
You didn't have leprosy.
Oh, no.
When you were off, you did off-Broadway, also Jane
Avril, based on the character Toulouse-Lautrec, the dancer Toulouse-Lautrec.
That Jane.
I had to dance. Miriam danced, Jane Avril danced. I started out with Martha Graham, yeah.
Oh, you did?
She's my spiritual mother, very strong woman.
Oh,
your hairdo.
I see.
Like a sun, she walked into a room.
So I was going to ask you if you sang and danced.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
If you're in New York long enough, you want work, you sing and dance.
So that was Toulouse-Lautrec's Jane. And then the other one was Dear Nobody. We got down to Dear Nobody. That was you?
Another one-woman play based on Fanny Burney's diaries. All these dead women, all these powerful, interesting, brilliant women, until I learned that I could be interesting and powerful myself.
Dear Nobody was who?
Fanny Burney, 18th century English novelist, wrote a bestseller in 1778. Got to know King George III, Madame de Staël, Talleyrand, Richard Brinsley Sheridan, so her diaries are a treasure trove.
So none of these are autobiographical. They were all about other strong women.
They pretended to be about other strong women, but I was working out my own lessons. And even in the Mozart, it's a play about a woman who was not allowed to express herself, because it was Mozart who went on to fame and fortune, and she sat with the father playing and teaching a few people, enormously frustrated and bitter. And so the message of that play was really express yourself, which of course is what the book says. Be yourself. Learn how to do that.
So each thing in this book, all these techniques, you obviously went back into the things that you did and gained, used your knowledge, used your ideas of how you...
I've been learning acting techniques for so many teachers, so many directors. And when I finally realized that the techniques that I had learned to look and feel self-confident on stage, when I realized I could use those in real life, it was a real breakthrough for me.
But I thought the interesting thing was that psychiatrists send you people. They're supposed to be able to treat people who don't have social skills, right? And yet they send those people to you, and you teach them how to have social skills. So what are the ideas?
Excuse me?
What are the ideas that you would
It's about self-transformation. It's exactly what psychotherapy, every school of knowledge in the world is about. If you're uncomfortable being yourself, what do you do to show up in the world and be thrilled to be yourself and to be all you can be, as witty, as intelligent, as sparkling?
So why do they send them to you, though?
They're doing other things.
They're doing?
I mean, I think everybody needs to find their own teacher, and some psychiatrists work for some people. I work better for some people, and we all teach people to be who they want to be.
Well, you do workshops. Do you think that led some of the psychiatrists to know that your workshop?
Or they met me, or they heard about me, or
one of the things you talk about, teaching techniques, breathing.
Breathing, very important. We'd drop dead if we didn't breathe. And also, I love that people who are senile go to hospitals and are given oxygen, and the next thing you know, they're talking perfectly fine. Because it's very powerful, this oxygen. So if we cheat ourselves of breath when we're nervous, which is what happens. You get short of breath, you're not breathing, so blood and oxygen are not going to the brain, so...
But we don't realize we're doing that, do we?
That's right.
No, we don't
It's
realize.
called fear. It's called
that happens. Another, you teach relax, so you're fearful, but then you teach people how to relax.
And there's so many techniques anyone can learn. I mentioned a lot of them in the book, because everybody is different. So if one technique doesn't work for someone, another one will.
So just one or two?
Tensing up and relaxing. Talking to the muscles, like now I notice this muscle is tight. Just my ability to focus in on it and say relax, or maybe close my eyes, give it a color, and maybe it's red, so I breathe white light into it. That concentration on a muscle is extraordinary for relaxing it.
I was having so much fun reading all these things and doing them. I thought one interesting thing was the as if technique that you mentioned. As if what? As
if you were a person who had self-esteem. Someone I know suddenly went out in the world and pretended she acted as if she had self-esteem and started making decisions for her life that she never would have made otherwise. Or I act as if someone is my best friend, And immediately, if I were to pretend you were my friend Anna Norberg and see the blue coat she used to wear in college, I just begin to have fun because my body does not know the difference between the real Anna and an Anna Norberg that I create sensorially. So I see the coat, I hear her laugh.
Oh, the other thing, in your workshops, you teach you look at the left brain, right brain. In what respect to
Most of
presenting
the
yourself?
techniques in the book allow the person using them to get directly to the unconscious, and I use a lot of images, which is the right brain. The left brain is much, if you just say, relax, I'm going to tense up. But if I say, oh, remember a day at the ocean, it's an image, it's a sensory image, and my whole body will relax immediately.
Well, that was one of the things, talking about sensory image, you said that we can fool the body into thinking about sensory images, like you do a lemon thing.
Well, that's to show the reader that if you pretend you're eating a lemon, suddenly you'll start salivating. And that's an automatic response, like nerves, like sweaty palms, like when you lose your voice, like when you can't sing.
It really? You can think about a lemon?
And you start salivating. If you taste a lemon now, and you smell it, and you can feel it maybe in your hand, oh, how brilliant you are.
So I don't need to think about it. I have it, but...
Can you imagine it in your mouth? Can you imagine the juice, bitter, sweet, sour, cold, warm in your mouth? If you can do it, you'll probably start salivating. Like 999 people out of 1,000 start salivating.
Is that how actresses get tears to come on stage?
Not necessarily the lemon. They will think of something sensorially. They will think, God forbid, their dog died when they were 3 years old. They see that image. It goes right to the right brain, and the whole body thinks they are there because the body has stored all those memories sensorially. Doctors have discovered this technique and are using it in hospitals now.
So you're using things that can help. I mean, we don't need to cry, but we need to...
I hope not.
We need to do some of these other things before we go to a party?
Exactly. In other words, there's a story about Marilyn Monroe. She was being directed by Sir Laurence Olivier in The Prince and the Showgirl. And she was supposed to look sparkling in her first entrance. And nothing Olivier said allowed her to do that. And Paula Strasberg, who was her acting coach, said to her, imagine you're drinking Coca-Cola, that's a sensory thing, and imagine that Frank Sinatra is next to you, that's a sensory thing. And immediately she woke up. Immediately she was sparkling. So to go into a party, listen, Coca-Cola and Frankie Sinatra may not work for everybody else, but maybe imagining champagne or imagining that your favorite friend is waving across the room and all your friends are singing happy birthday, or that everyone is applauding you, which is what Sherry Lansing uses when she walks into a room.
So you could just, she thinks that?
She hears it. In other words, it's the five senses. If you hear that applause, your body goes, oh, I'm being applauded, and you just feel wonderful. Hopefully most people would.
That's great. So we learned a lot about acting techniques. Are they phony? Is it phony?
It's a good question. No, because everyone assumes this book is about being authentic. These are your real images. In other words, if my friend Anna really makes me feel good and I want to project and feel really good, is that phony? No, I'm just allowing myself to be my joyful, happy self, content and self-confident to be with you. So in a sense, it's the opposite. It's allowing me to be an authentic Jane in a situation where I might otherwise be scared, which is, I don't think, the real Jane.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm going to continue reading because I was doing your and your those kind of relaxation and getting your voice to...
That allows the voice to be vibrating here in the buccal cavity, as I was taught.
Well, I'm going to do it when you leave. Okay. And I'm going to take my lemon with me. Thank you very much, Jane.
Thank you.
Jane Marla Robbins and Acting Techniques for Everyday Life. And we'll be right back with actress Robin Page. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and we're back with writer, performer, director, Robin Page, who was born and raised in Minneapolis. She came to Southern California to study at San Diego State in the drama department, And I guess you never went back to that harsh winter again.
No, I decided I'm going to leave the snow back in the Midwest.
I didn't know that much about San Diego State, but I didn't think it had a great drama department. Were there any other celeb people like you?
It actually has an excellent drama department, and technically it was, at that time, one of the best in the country, and from what I understand, it still is.
That's how you found it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And we have quite a few alum. Kathy Najimy, who's made her claim to fame most recently, is wonderful. In fact, we went to school together.
Is that where you were in the same drama classes?
We were in the same drama classes, and she directed me in Godspell, as a matter of fact, for her directing class.
Is that right?
Yeah. And Marion Ross.
Oh, I know Marion.
Yes, she had graduated from there quite a few years before.
Oh, because I see her down there in La Jolla all the time. She likes that area. I think she has a summer...
a vacation home.
A vacation house. Yeah. A summer house. We don't need summer houses here.
We don't. It's all year round.
She has a getaway down there. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did she come back? Did she go back and do things?
I think she was back a couple times. She's actually done some theater back there, done a play and performed.
Did your career actually then, after you finished San Diego State, get started in Las Vegas? Is that right?
Well, I kind of went there on a quirky thing. My sister was living there, and I went. She just had 2 children close together in age, and she wanted some help. She owned a bridal store, and so I went out there. I said, I just graduated from college. I'll go out and help you a little bit. And I just happened to audition for a show and got the part.
What kind of show?
It was called Too Hot to Handle. It was a review that went on the road as opening act for Johnny Hara, who at the time was a very big Elvis impersonator.
Do you dance and sing?
Yes.
Oh, so you were in the right place.
That's right, I was. Yes, I was too short to be a showgirl, but I usually was the featured vocalist.
Their legs are as long as you were tall.
That's right. Yeah, but I was usually the featured vocalist, and I always did comedy in the show, and I would dance with the other girls.
Oh, so it was a good start.
It was a good start, and from there, I always was waiting to go back to Los Angeles to pursue my acting, and one show led to another show, and I eventually
kept getting your work in Las Vegas?
I just kept getting work, and I eventually started my own act in the lounge and was in many different reviews. And then I was finally in Beach Blanket Babylon at the Sands Hotel, which of course is now gone. And
it started in San Francisco.
It still is there. Silver.
Right.
Yes.
So did he open it in Las Vegas?
He opened it in Las Vegas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this was back in 89, I believe, and 88, 89. And they had kind of like a little secondary show there, but it was really wonderful.
And what were you? What did you wear on your head?
I was Snow White.
Oh, you didn't get to wear a big cheese on your head?
I wore other things, yeah.
Well, that reminded me of the play that you're doing. I don't know, but it just seemed like Beach Blanket Babylon with all that stuff going on would be like the name.
It's similar to that. It's very zany, fun comedy, only ours doesn't have a theatrical theme through it. What our theme is that these are the good old days.
And that's the name of it.
And that's the name of the show.
These are the good old days at the Globe Theater in West Hollywood.
That's right.
Which is that theater has spawned some fabulous things.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding, for one. That's where she started the whole shebang.
And a lot of actors and actresses have worked there, directed there, taken their they've had children's things there where those kids have grown up to be great actors.
That's right. It's a wonderful, intimate venue, and for a smaller theater, 99-seat theater, it's one of the best in town. And we're real excited to be there because it's perfect for our show.
So before we get to these are the good old days. Let's take you back to Hooray for Hollywood, because I think it's also another step into what you're doing here.
Exactly. It was done at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts.
So you left Las Vegas.
I left Las Vegas to do that, and I was doing some regional theater at the time. And I played the part of Dorothy, which was similar to the Beach Blanket kind of theme, where she was always looking to find her way through Hollywood and find the man of her dreams. A very zany comedy, but it took you all through the movie eras from the 20s on up till today. And it was a lot of fun. It was
lots of dancing. I saw that play. I mean, I didn't see it in Denver, but I saw it in Hollywood, and it was kind of like Judy Garland walking around, or like Dorothy.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not Judy Garland.
It was really fun, and it enabled me to play other parts besides the Dorothy character within the part.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was great. And this is why we love doing this show. My partner Nancy Gibbs and I, we're able to play. We do different vignettes throughout our show, and each has to do a little bit with the theme of that these are the good old dames.
I'm going to show these, and then you can talk.
Okay. That particular one is called The Bride on the Bus, and Nancy plays the jilted bride who was left at the altar, and before she could even say I do, and she runs to a bus, and I meet her, and at first I play a rapper who meets her on the bus, and we go through a whole little ditty together. I leave because my stop is there, and I come back as a belly dancer, and we talk and we sing and go through different things, and then I end up coming back as the groom that left her, and then he explains why he left her, and he doesn't realize that he's sitting next to her.
How long would a little vignette like that take, time-wise?
No, let's see. That's probably about maybe 10 minutes. Yeah.
And then I think this other one, this one in the middle, I think,
Yes.
is funny.
That's called the chutzpah, and we're two ladies who are from New York and know each other in New York, but we happen to, by chance, meet at an LA spa, and what we go through and how amazing it is that we're in California and what this spa has to offer, and it's really quite funny.
You guys are like Lucy and Ethel, kind
Yeah.
of, huh? Or Kathy and Mo, and that's
Exactly.
Kathy Najimy,
That's
right?
Right, exactly.
Was she
Yes.
writing those? Did she start writing those at school?
You know, I don't know. I know she was always very active in writing and directing, and she's just such an incredible talent that she was always interested in so many different things. But
That thing that we saw, you had something on your head at the spa.
At the
You
spa,
had you had the towels on
It's
your
like-
head. What other things do you use?
Within the other skits, yes, we have one that is called No Service World, and it's not in that picture right at the moment there, but it talks about all the different things we go through, the trials and tribulations of trying to call and get customer service
Oh,
with
right,
people.
but then do you wear
And
different things?
Nancy plays all the different customer service people, and she wears hats to depict what that particular one is, the cable company,
I
and one is the
see.
proctologist's office, and so on.
So how do you play off of each other? What if she misses a line? What happens to you?
Oh, we cover for each other. We just
Can you do
we've-
it?
Oh yeah, we've worked together so closely. We're just
And
one
I
and the
w-
same.
I was wondering if that happened then, if you then think, oh, that was really great, let's keep it there.
We've talked about that too, and the best material comes from improvisation on stage. But we were showing that menopause number there, that one in the right here on the side. Yes, right there on the top, on the right there. That's a number that actually
This one, okay,
right
I'm
there.
sorry.
It's so today, and it's so all about menopause that it's funny. And my sister happened to have written that song because she was going through menopause at the time, but she's a childbirth educator, and she just teaches with humor. And so she took these songs and did some parodies on menopause, and it's hysterical.
So
it's really
there's
funny.
a lot of music. Elaine Lang.
Elaine Lang is one of our head writers, and she's also our musical director.
So she plays the piano on stage?
Yes, she
Or
does,
off
and she
stage?
actually plays a korg, which is all instrumented, so it sounds like a big full orchestra.
Oh, she does?
Yes, she's just marvelous. And Elaine Lang and Francie Shapiro and Nancy Gibbs and myself have written the show, and we have a lot of original music and then a lot of parodies on songs that already exist.
I think it's so funny because when I was reading the bios last night, everyone was a genius at the age of 5. And is that, I mean, I was going like, this person was playing at 5, this one was acting at 5, this one was doing
Right.
this at 5. Was that made up?
No, it's the
It
truth.
wasn't?
It's the truth. Elaine Lang started playing the piano at 3.5 and started composing music. I even spoke with her mother, and she told me that was the
believe
truth.
this.
Yes,
That is the truth.
She's just an incredible musician. And Francie Shapiro, the same thing. She started writing very young and played piano also. And Nancy Gibbs started working at a young age, singing and dancing and doing
It's
all.
just too hard to believe
Yes.
that all of you are together.
And it
you're
was
doing
really,
this.
it was meant to be, because it's just an amazing story of how we got together. We've really only all known each other for about 1.5 years.
But you all started at age 5.
That's right. If only we had known each other then.
And getting to age 5, you've done children's albums.
About 10 years ago, I decided that I wanted to settle down and get married and put a little showbiz on hold for a little while and have a child. So I thought, what can I still do, even if I'm pregnant or afterwards? And I said, I'm going to put together an original album, and it's called I Believe in Dreams. And then I did a live stage show with it.
Did you do a book first, or?
It's just a tape. It's just all musical
video
numbers.
tape?
No, it's just an audio tape.
Oh, it's
and
an
CD.
audio tape.
And it won a lot of awards in Special Parenting magazine and so on and so forth. And I did this live show, and it was something I could do on my own time while having my son. And I even performed pregnant. It was really a lot of fun.
Oh.
But it's a wonderful album. It teaches kids about positive things in their life, to use their imagination and to really learn to succeed and go for their dreams.
You live in Laguna Niguel now, or you live outside of the city limits for
Yes.
Hollywood. Does that hamper your work ability?
You know, it's really, it's a little bit of a schlep, as we'll say, but at the same time, it's really kind of nice to get out of the city and relax, and I've got a great view. And
Do
just
people
sit
still
back.
call you? I mean, I know you have to have an agent.
Yes,
But,
yeah, they do.
And you
Mhm.
come
we
up-
just make ourselves available.
and you
Yes.
do voiceovers?
I do voiceovers. And this is what got Nancy and I so much into doing all these different characters, is because I've done commercial and animation voiceovers, and she does it the same thing. And
Like what
she's-
kind of voiceovers? Just
Well,
your voice, or do you
Just
make
my
up
voice.
voices?
Oh, and I make up voices.
Oh, you do
Oh,
make up-
yes. I do commercial, which is my voice, and then I do a lot of different animation and all kinds of different
Like
characters
what
and
kind of
accents.
things do you do?
Oh, like oh goodness. Oh, Bernie, we're going to a party now. Little
you can-
crazy
and
little
you keep
people.
that up the
through the
whole
whole thing. We
time?
do a number in our show called Señora Chachcalita
Oh,
and her
right.
pet chihuahua dummy Hot Tamale. And we both use the Spanish accent, and I use a little voice, and my job works like this, and it's very, very fun to do.
Oh, you
Yeah,
can do,
it's-
so you do that on stage
Yes,
as well? I
uh-huh.
mean, it's not just your voiceover.
No, no,
we have
we're
to
doing
look
it-
at you and see that.
Yes, you do.
But before we leave, really quickly,
Uh-huh.
I think this person is so funny.
Yes, that's Nancy Gibbs playing Aunt Sylvia, and that's a number called Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover. I play her great niece, Kimberly, and at first she's come to visit me, and at first I'm like, oh my God, it's my great aunt, Sylvia. She's so wacky and such a crazy person, and she talks all the time. And then we find out that we have more in common than we thought. Yeah.
Does she use a funny voice?
She has a fabulous accent.
She has a
Yes.
very-
Oh, it's great. I don't even think I can do it. It's one all her own.
Oh, I'm so glad you came
Thank
to see
you.
us today. You
Thank
drove
you.
up all the way from the beach.
It's worth it to be here.
But
Thank you.
you're going to be in West Hollywood for a while.
Yes,
and do you think
February
you'll,
6th.
You'll take this somewhere else?
We're hoping to. Yes, we're hoping to.
It played somewhere else. Played up north
We're
once.
going up north this in January. Yes, it's up in north
I see.
Walnut Creek for a couple of weeks, and then we'll be at the Globe starting
Great.
February 6th.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Robin. And thank you for watching. Keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, 917. We'll see you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.